Hey, what's going on, guys? This is me, Keith, with MidWestFishFinesseTV, and today I'm going to show you 3 tips, count them 1, 2, and 3, to help you catch more fish from the bank. Now, today we're going to be fishing a small pond. Now, a lot of people disregard small ponds, but we're going to prove to you that bass exist pretty much in any body of water, especially in fishing pressure that's very minimal. So ponds provide a unique opportunity, especially this pond. This is Bass Fisherman's Paradise. So this is a park, and we're going to go and show you these 3 tips. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm going to be using. Now, interestingly, I like to use some ultralight tackle. That's right. So this is a 5-foot ultralight spinning combo, and I'm going to be using an inline spinnerbait. So this is going to be our search bait, just to see if we get a bite, check for speed. I'm also going to be fishing with some lures that I got from a buddy, so I'm going to show you those lures that we're going to be fishing with today. Next, I've got basically my 5'6" light action rod. Now this is an ugly stick, so pretty much unbreakable. This is what I use for a lot of my bottom presentations, and also just heavier baits because it's more sturdy. Now let me show you what we've got, which is annoying when you're fishing grass. So we're going to show you the 3 steps. So step number 1 is look for signs of life, right? So you want to go to this body of water, see what bass might be eating off of. Some positive signs with that are there predatory birds. If there's a population of predatory birds, that means the bass definitely are supported by some type of bait fish, and the fish are getting big enough to sustain life outside the water. So you know bass are definitely getting taken care of inside the water. And we get to the water. So let's head out there, guys. All right, guys, we're about to approach fishing paradise. So as you can see here, step number 1 is figuring out what might be around. You notice there's dragonflies. Good tip to see for bugs and dragonflies. You know they lay their eggs in the water. That tells me one of 2 things. The bass are probably meeting at the grass lines, because the dragonflies lay their eggs in the grass line. Mosquito fish and other bait fish eat the insect eggs before they hatch. Now when they hatch, dragonflies actually hunt small brim and bait fish, so pretty interesting there. So bass have a hate and love relationship with them. If they're small enough to be prey, they'll avoid them, but if they're big enough to swallow them whole, dragonfly don't stand a chance. What I also notice here is on the water's edge, sometimes there's grass and trees. So if you notice on the water's edge, that means the top water might not be a bad situation. They might have things that fall off. So step number 1, look for signs of life. Notice in the sky, birds of prey. As you look around, you hear cicadas, other insects. So there's a healthy population of feeding something that the bass will be eating off of. So that's step number 1. So most likely with this exposed sun, there's probably going to be some weed edges, and I'm going to fish right outside of the grass line, see if I can catch some fish. So step number 2 is after you assess what type of environment, and this is a nutrient-rich environment for bass. This can pretty much sustain anything. If you see water, see that? Surface agitation. You got bait fish right there. Little bait fish right there. So you know that they're pressed up against this bank because you've got other predatory fish. So I can basically see it stirring up right there. There they are right there. So I see that the match the hatch range is about 2 to 3 inches in size, or about dragonfly size. So I know bass are feeding off of them. They're in the super shallows. So something's spooking them and pressing them up against the shoreline. Now, the next thing that you want to do is check the water clarity. Now, if you notice this water, I judge it by this. If I can stick my arm out in front of me, My arm is about 3.5 feet long or so. If I can see clear to the bottom, I know that the water is clear. If it's less than half my arm length and I can't even see the bottom, I know it's not clear. So that's step number one. So we're fishing some ultra clear water. So I want to use some natural colors to kind of mimic the bait fish. And also some dragonflies are looking like black and blue. So June bug colors actually would work over here. I know that they get really close to the water. I know bass have probably tried to get them at some point. So that's the first part of step number two, is water clarity. Next, you want to see the ground composition. So it's pretty smooth bottom, as you can see. It's muddy, a little bit of grass, but you know, bottom presentation might work pretty well. As I get further out here, as you can see, pretty clear water. You can see down to the bottom. So very ultra clear, smooth bottom. So Texas rig, Ned rig, things of that nature work out pretty great. Okay, so step number one, look for signs of life. You got plenty of insects, plenty of bait fish, excellent signs. That's probably one of the best signs you want to see. There were some predatory birds like cranes. You've got hawks, things of that nature, and you can even hear the birds in the background probably on this audio. That's an excellent thing. So those are some great signs there. And then the next thing on step number three is just, you got to figure out where do you think bass will be hanging out. So I know the bait fish are getting pressed up in here. So I have a feeling the bass are hanging out right at that drop off. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out if they want it fast or if they want it slow. What I mean by that is not only the retrieve speed, but also if they want it fast, baits like this, inline spinner baits, things with a pretty fast retrieve. Let me see if you can get it in here. Things with a pretty fast retrieve, they'll be feeding off of the mid or top water. So we're going to go and try and see what speed these bass are feeding off of, okay? Not something that you can repeat that seems to be catching fish. All right, so I can safely say I've been doing some searching, and so far none of my search baits picking up a lot of fish, and the wind is just blowing everything to smithereens. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna use bottom presentations, see what we get with that. All right, and then the next thing is we're gonna check that bridge out in just a moment, because I have a feeling that bridge is where the bass are basically cooling off, because it's too sunny right now. It's partly cloudy. It's partly cloudy. So bass may be out here in these mid-level depths, but they're most likely just like humans. So they're just probably in the shade, avoiding all kind of yep, got him. I knew it. Bottom presentation. Bottom presentation. Look at that. Look at that, folks. Knew it. So sometimes you try something, right? You're all set on, I've got to catch bass on this specific lure. You saw that. I casted to the same exact spot with the Ned rig. And I told you the color selection, June bug. I told you based on the dragonflies, they were blue and black. So I said June bug colors are going to crush it. So I thought this crankbait would be the ticket. I really did. But you got to read the pattern. So let's go over the steps again, and I'll show you why I just hooked that bass. And he unhooked himself, so it's not a big deal. I do like to land him in my hands, and we're going to catch him again for sure. But notice step one is look for signs of life. So we look for the dragonflies. That let us know the coloration. We look for the bait fish. we knew that the profile had to be about 2 to 3 inches, and that's what this is. So we had the profile size down. Next, we got the coloration down because the water is ultra clear. You can see through the bottom about 5-6 feet away from the shore. So I knew that bottom presentations bass are not limited to eating from the top or eating from the mid-level water depths. They'll eat from the bottom. All right, guys, so here we see it's about to get crazy. So bass after bass, 3 in a row in the next 22 minutes. So I'm not gonna lie, right here I stopped filming and then all of a sudden hooked into a bass. So I literally just walked up here from the last spot, caught a bass, didn't even have my camera on, and he was trying to lose me in the weeds. They get a little sneaky there, but it didn't work. Tried to drag me all the way under the bridge, snapped my line. Smart little guys, aren't they? But yeah, so that was like the first sign. I was like, okay, I found the right spot. So released him, you know, caught him on the Ned rig. I was gonna switch up and try something different, but I was like, you know what, the Ned rig is crushing it. At this point, that's 2 bass, and that's the third one. Third bass hooked into there. Could not believe it. I was just like, wow, you know, these bass are camping out, and now I know the pattern. I know exactly what they're going for, what they're eating and munching on. So this is pretty much classic and easy work here. And they also tried to lose me here, like he tried to lose me in the weed edge. So he was trying to hem me up between the algae and all the growth coming through. So he didn't escape either, so I appreciate that. And then lastly, we've got another bass that you'll see in just a minute. So that's 3 bass in 22 minutes. Again, thanks for watching, guys. This is Keith with Midwest Fish Finesse TV. Go ahead and hit that like button at the bottom. Hulk smash it, sucker punch it, whatever you got to do. If you enjoyed some or all of these tips, leave a comment below on what you do every time you go to the water. Do you have a certain fishing buddy you always bring with you? Do you have a certain lure? Whatever it is, you leave it in the comments below. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You know, there's going to be more hands-on tips and tricks to help you catch more bass every single time you go to the water. That's right, more. And to learn something new in every single video. We're going to sneak a little education in these videos, all right? So I think that's enough. I've been rambling. My name is Keith, and this is Midwest Fish Finesse TV.